Hello, everyone. Welcome back. A Mindset Explosion, episode 20. We're on season 5, and today we're going to talk about a successful state of mind. I've been joined again, second interview, second time on my show, Wendy. Thank you so much for coming back.
Oh, thank you so much, Matt, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you for coming back on. I really enjoyed our last interview, and do you know what? Whilst we're on here, I just want to thank you for all the help and support you've given me, this last year with property and the business buying. It's, I really appreciate it. So maybe a bit more on that later, but we're going to talk about, we're going to dive deep again. I got some different questions, maybe. Some of it might be that we've gone over before, but I definitely want to hear a bit more about this book that you got released coming out soon, called A Successful State of Mind. Those that are following, if you listen on the podcast, drop us a 5-star review, comment and share. Always tag a friend. Why not? Wendy, I'll just get you to introduce yourself very briefly in a little bit. So we talked about, as a pro figure skating, I think, on your last interview, which I'm sure we'll touch on again. And then I call it a quick fire round, but it kind of goes off on a bit of tangent, but that's all cool. We'll do that after you've done your little intro. So fire away, Wendy, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you, Matt. And it's so good to be here again. Just love being on your podcast. I know you have some fantastic guests. It's great podcast. So yeah, definitely give Matt a great review. So yeah, a little bit about me. So basically, I'm now a full-time property investor and coach and mentor. And then I used to be a professional figure skater and a figure skating coach as well. And I wrote a book it was actually in lockdown, about mindset from sport to business. So I share a lot of my background, but then also a lot of research into top performers and entrepreneurs, just highlighting the key success principles that they have and they use in sport. And then how some of them as well have mapped that over into business and been really successful in business. And from all that studying and looking at my own experiences, I've then just developed these mindset principles that the great thing is with them is that anybody can use them. So it's not something we're born with, that, they're all things that we can develop and learn to be more successful or to get our version of success in our business and our life. So that's occupied a big part of my life, probably the last couple of weeks, as you probably know. Yeah. And then in and around that, there's just been some property projects going on and, the day-to-day coaching and mentoring and doing property projects. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavour of me and what I'm all about.
Definitely. Thank you, Wendy. And I thought I was busy. I was like, listen, I'm struggling. So
it's busy.
It is good time. Good to be busy, though. So try this on our quick fire round. Do you prefer a podcast or YouTube? And what's your best one?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. I think I like podcasts personally. Yeah.
Apart from Mindset Explosion, which is your preferred one?
Just Mindset Explosion, right? Top one.
Right, thank you. This generally answers the next question's already generally been answered, but do you prefer book or audio?
Now, this is an interesting one. So I've gone with my book publishing, I've gone with paperbacks first off, and then I'm going to go into audio. And the reason being is because I listen on audio all the time. Yeah. I do read physical copies. So I do like to sit down when I've got some time to read a book. I think there's something about just holding a book and reading it. But at the same time, I think the audio, absolutely fantastic for being in the car, 2 times the speed, and out on dog walks, anywhere. That's the great thing about it, isn't it, with the audio?
Definitely. I like the fact you said about 2 times the speed. Did you go straight to that, or did you have to kind of ease into it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did ease into it. So I went to 1.5, I think, first, and then put it on 2.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is now I find if I'm playing on normal speed, it feels really slow. Like, come on. Let's get through it.
Book. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I'm the same. Because I think that happened once. It got put. I don't know if someone was in the car listening with me, and it's like I can't understand what they're saying. It's like, well, I can. Let's put it back down to normal.
Yeah, it's just like that, and it's funny how you get used to it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
like your brain. Yeah, your brain
and then
just processes.
And obviously, the best book would be A Successful State of Mind.
Indeed, here it
is. We are going to come back to the book. So, do you prefer men? I think this is the last one. Oh no, we got two more quick fires. Okay. Cool. Do you prefer mentor, mastermind, or to go your own way?
Mentor, mastermind, or to go my own way, as in what I would prefer. Oh, not so much go my own way. I think masterminds are great because you get a good network of people. And I think that's really valuable because you can bounce ideas off them, joint venture with them. I think that's brilliant. Mentoring, I think, is great because you can learn from someone who's been there before you and has got something to share. And so I wouldn't go alone, but I'm definitely mentoring and masterminding. It's hard for me to pick out of those two, to be honest. Bit of both, I think.
I think a good combination of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially with my property journey. I love the mastermind. We've collaborated because of that. So, like you said, you meet some really great people, and I'm all like-minded. It's like you can have a conversation that you can't always have with people that don't get it, and then mentorship. And you've given me some great advice over this last year, which really, really helped. So again, thank you. Last one. Yeah. Who's your most influential person, past, present, or made up?
Oh my goodness, you put me on the spot. Oh, so I've got a few, I think. So T. Harv Eker with his Millionaire Mind, great book. There's also there's so many people, isn't there? And Rob Moore's been an influence in my life as well. And I'm also inspired by, just people in my life who I'm surrounded by, that are doing, great things. I've got my husband who supports me, who's amazing. And I'm trying to think who else. There's Oprah Winfrey. She's just sprung into my head. Oh, I absolutely love her. What an inspiring lady. And she's got some absolutely fantastic quotes that I've shared in the past that have been amazing. So, yeah, there's so many amazing people out there, aren't they, that we can take inspiration from and influence us.
Brilliant. Yes, definitely, I agree. And it's nice when you can see it from all around us as well. Okay, let's dive down into this interview. So obviously, I've interviewed you before, so I really wanted to talk about your book today because it's as you said, you've been building up to it over this last couple of months, and it's been so nice to see. I've watched you speak in Bristol. That was brilliant. And are you speaking this week? Is it tonight?
I'm speaking. I've got a few coming up actually, so I can share with you. Do you want me to share those with you?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Definitely.
So I've got the Cheltenham and Gloucester PIN meeting.
Yes.
Which is your way. And then I think I'm in Basingstoke on Wednesday evening. Right. And then Bristol property, the PPN, the Progressive Property Network, is the 23rd of June, which is back in Bristol. So yeah, I'm back to the PPN. So yeah, lots of talking. It's all good.
I think the PIN is on a Tuesday. That's when I do my sign language course. So I don't know if I'll be able to make it. Really sorry.
That's all right. I didn't know you did sign language. We'll have to have a chat about that. That sounds exciting and something really worthwhile to do.
Yeah, definitely. My eldest is deaf, so that was the prime thing that I do that for. I got an assessment next Tuesday, so I'm maybe on my level 1, but just to help. And he goes to school. Anyway, I'm giving too much information away here. Not we're live on a podcast. This is what we know about Matt, is it? You work out my passcodes though. All right, so so with the book coming out, obviously you've been a pro figure skater, you've coached people, you've moved into property, million pound property, easy for me to say, property portfolio, if I remember correctly, and you're coaching as well, you're a public speaker, and you found time to write a book, and you just casually said, oh yeah, it was in lockdown, and I just seen how thick that thing was. What was the purpose behind the book? What was the true inspiration for it?
Yeah, this is a great question as well, actually. And it came from initially when I was coaching, I used to kind of look and see, so what was it that made one person achieve what they wanted to achieve over another person? Was it talent? Was it hard work? Was it, purposeful or focused hard work? What was it that made the difference? Because sometimes you'd have somebody that was equally capable to achieve, but wouldn't always perform, as you might call it, or achieve whatever their version of success was, no matter what that was, right? And so I started thinking about it ages ago. So this was probably a good, 10, 15 years ago, before I even got into property investing. And then something similar happened in property. So I started investing in property, and then I was looking at, right, okay, lots of people with knowledge, but only some people would then go on and do something with that knowledge. And it just got me thinking and then researching. And it got me onto the topic of, okay, so let's have a look at sports people and see, what kind of, traits they have, and, how that feeds through into, how successful they are and what they do. And then I was realizing there were quite a lot of really successful sports people, like Venus Williams, for example, or David Lloyd. We all know the David Lloyd clubs, don't we, in the UK? And it started getting me thinking about, okay, there's quite a lot of sports people that have been successful in business. There are any parallels here that, we could learn from. And so I started doing research behind this. And at the same time, I was also getting into public speaking. So I was absolutely petrified of public speaking. That is how it came about, because I was so frightened to speak in public. I was thinking, I've got to sort this out. And this was going on the same time as I was doing my research. And so when I started practicing public speaking and going on courses and looking at my topic, this was something that sprung to mind, because it's all about me as well. It's about, my background in figure skating and going into property investing. And it's also about sport into business. So there was kind of a bit of a topic that shaped that. And so I wrote the presentation first that I suppose did for a couple of years, and got some really good feedback from the audience. And so in my presentation, I just shared 5 principles. So it was kind of like a lot shorter version of the book, and then applied that to either property or business, whichever one I was doing. And I was getting a lot of feedback from this of, this is really helpful to me. There's so many things that I didn't realize that you'd do in sport that I can see you do in business and I don't do, like having a routine, for example, and getting good habits. So then I was thinking to myself, this is a really exciting topic. So I think this was similar to like a lockdown period when I thought, right, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to lock myself in, and I'm just going to write on these topics because they're so fascinating. And yeah, 50,000 words later, I had this massive Word document that was, it's full of ideas and exercises and tips, and it had a structure, but I know that I needed some help to get it out there. Basically put it into, do the grammar and spelling and check that I had something that was really worthwhile to share. That was kind of a key thing for me that would help people, that, was something that was going to be useful. And that's when I reached out to my publisher and sent her a couple of chapters and said, what do you think? And then she was just like, yeah, I think we could do something with this. So basically that's where it all started, probably about 10 months ago now, even a bit longer. It might have been a year ago. And then we've been working since then to put it together and put a nice book cover around it, do all the structure inside, all the copywriting. And then eventually we've now got to this point where it's a book and it's a chunky one.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Put it up again for us.
Yeah, sure. There you go. And there's my little photo on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's turned out bigger than I thought. I was quite surprised actually when it came back, and I was like, wow. Yeah, it's actually quite big.
Great. And this is being released. Is it this Thursday or next? Sorry.
It is this Thursday. So it is actually live on Amazon at the moment.
Right.
So it's gone on a little bit earlier, but the actual launch is 16th of June. So it's on Thursday. And then I've got the launch event, Matt, that you're coming to as well in the evening with my publisher, which will be really exciting, and it'll be lovely to have you there as well.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And I just realized the link is actually in the copy so you can click away, get the book.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you want to put the link in for the launch date, obviously just drop that in the comments. Yeah, brilliant. So obviously, do you talk about your own personal experiences within the book on how you've developed your own mindset for stuff?
I do, yeah. I vary it a little bit. So I use my experience and also researched experience as well. Excuse me, sorry. So it's a little bit of both. It's like, what have I taken over from figure skating into business? Because there are some useful mindset tips that I've shared, especially in lining with with like goals and how I go about setting them and having the routines and habits. I think routines and habits are very key to making sure that you're working on your income generating tasks. So there's an element of what I've done and what I apply, and then also research. And so looking at mindset in general. So what is it? What is success? And then looking and delving down into other successful people, entrepreneurs and sports people, and what traits they have, how they learn from mistakes, for example, how they don't give up, like Elon Musk with his rocket launches. Failures were opportunities to learn for him. And so it's kind of touching on all aspects, really.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I was going to ask questions. I was on the edge of my seat there. No, I love stuff like that anyway, and I think it's great that you're combining it, with sport, but also taking it into the entrepreneur's sort of mind, and it does it like just said about it, people that inspire us, and I think all these things are just so helpful. And so, I talked about some of the things that have not gone right for me recently, but it's a failure, but it's also such a learning lesson. And that's all I can do is, you can just bounce back from these things and, crack on with it. Really. Yeah, definitely. So what would you say, whether, in any part of your journey from pro figure skating to property investor or public speaking? I know you kind of touched about, why you became a speaker just now, but what has been your biggest challenge and how have you overcome that?
Oh,
tough ones today.
Oh, you got me today, haven't you? Asking all the difficult questions. There's been quite a few at different points, I would say. So I can probably go through a couple that spring to mind. So, and this might be aligned to you as well, because you're starting your property journey, but you've also got that sport background, haven't you, from your kickboxing and the like. So, you've got that discipline from your background as well. And so you're probably connected to this, but I found when I did my first property project that was a challenge, that scared me. But for a lot of mindset reasons, I think, because it was something out my comfort zone and new and different. And so a lot of the things that I applied in figure skating, I would use over into, say, getting my first project. And whilst it's exciting and it's new, it's also a bit scary when you buy a property and it costs you a lot of money, and then you're standing it and it's all damp and dark and a complete mess, and then you've got to go and sort it out. And when you haven't done that before, that is quite a big challenge. When you're used to it, then it becomes easier and you get more confidence. So your confidence grows because you know you're more used to doing these projects. But when you first do them, I think they're a bit scary. And then the other time it gets scary, so you've got just starting, but I think also is when you step it up. So then when you step up and you do something new, like when I did the self-build, that was challenging. Yeah. That added another level. So there were times in there, lots of times in there that were challenging. And so, there were challenges that I came across there. And, also I would feel speaking, we touched on the speaking, my first, again, it's a lot of the firsts, I think, when you're doing anything for the first time, I think that's where there's a lot of out the comfort zone. It makes you feel scared and it's a bit of a challenge. And almost once you can get through that, I think it then gets a little bit easier, doesn't it? Because you get a bit more confidence. So yeah, my first talk, I found that a bit of a challenge. And it's funny, isn't it? It's like something can go wrong in a talk now and it doesn't bother me. Yeah. When back then there was a word out of place or something, and I'd be like, oh no, what am I going to do? What do I do? When now, and just, I think when you grow in confidence, you then just shout it out. You're going, there's a bit of a mistake on my slide. And then you move on, don't you? It's just, you call it out, move on, make a bit of a joke of it. And so yeah, I think I wouldn't know what the biggest one was. I mean, I think I've had challenges in figure skating as well, where, I've failed tests and had to keep coming back. So I learned a lot of get up and carry on. And I suppose that's the key thing. So I think whatever you do, there's lots of challenges, big and small.
No, they were great. So, and yeah, I can definitely relate a little bit to it. And you're right. I think it is starting out in something. It is, well, first is to telling yourself, taking that step forward to actually start it, get a coach or learn about something. That's quite, of a challenge in itself, isn't it? Going along to progressive for the first time and think, what's this going to be about? And it's amazing. And then I'm like, now I've actually got to do it. But yeah, again, I think it's obviously, I think the sport has definitely helped. Maybe we're just, like you said, like you would have fallen over, I'd imagine, just on your first skate. I don't know, hope not, but I would have done. And it's getting back up again.
Yeah. I think that's a really good analogy that I use actually quite a lot in the book is, getting back up and carrying on, because it was literally that, I'd fall over and have to get back up and carry on. And so it's the same thing I think we have in business where things go wrong, but, we can't just say, right, that's it, I'm going to stop. You've got to find out what went wrong, do something about it and carry on. Yeah,
definitely. Wow, brilliant. So these challenges are good. It's good to fail. It's good to not to be scared of messing up and just do it. And do you feel like when you look back then, because I was talking about this the other day to someone, and I feel when I look back, I feel a little bit like this. Do you feel like it's like, was that really me back then? It's almost like I've lived different lives within my lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. You look back at your 20-year-old self and you do. I think something I'll share here, which is quite funny, is that I was a bit of a scatterbrain, really. And so I was, I think at the time when I was training as skating, I was also at university, but I also had quite a busy life. And whilst I'd have a schedule, because I was running around everywhere, I would sometimes be a bit of a scatterbrain and also say random things that, wouldn't make sense to people. And it's funny because I often didn't think through what I was saying before I said it. And whatever was in my head would just come out. And when I look back at that, obviously it was a bit of a laughing point, and I used to go with it, and it was fun. But at some point it actually annoyed me, and I was like thinking, right, I need to do something about this, because I was often called Phoebe in Friends, and I was thinking, right, I need to do something about this. So I then, I suppose, looked at not changing myself, but improving how I am, looking at how I can learn. So I don't do that anymore, and so I've changed quite a lot of that, I suppose. And it's funny now, because when I look back and I think about the laughs that I used to get from it, at the time I'd be aggravated and think, that's so annoying. Why did I say that? Why didn't I think that through first before I said it? And I think it's probably something you do when you're younger, isn't it? You learn as you grow older, don't you? And you mature and you learn. And so now I don't do it. And it's funny, it's probably just become a habit to me not to. I think things through a bit more before I do or say. And but I look back at it and I think, sometimes I miss that, because it was fun, and it was obviously a different, slightly, different version of me. As you say, you grow, don't you, as a person, and what I was doing back then was very different to what I do now. So you kind of move and grow as you move through life, don't you? And I think that's okay. That's good. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's good. Otherwise, if I look back, and I'm glad I made certain choices, because obviously I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and life would have just been a bit harder, I guess. I don't know. I can't even imagine if I hadn't removed myself from my engineering background. I'd hate to think what I'd be doing now. I think that was going to drive me absolutely bonkers. I went bonkers anyway, but that's not the point.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny, because I did computer science as a degree, and so very different, because you had figure skating and computer science, very different things. And I look back at that, and I was a very quiet kind of, scarily enough, I was a really quiet person to want to sit there and type, and then equally just go out there on the ice and perform, but wouldn't want to say anything to anyone, apart from maybe a few silly comments.
It's just funny to hear, because I loved my training. I hated my job, what I was doing then. It wasn't for me. It's just something I picked out of a hat, maybe because my dad was an engineer, I don't know. And then I know where my confidence, you talked about public speaking or being able to teach. My voice used to shake back then. I was in my 20s and done traveling. I thought I would be okay. And no, just really had to work on it. But it gets easier. And I think sometimes that kind of intense training that we have, it really does help develop that mind into something. Whether you get knocked down, you get back up, or just to having that routine, like you said, that discipline, and to keep going, and you build a part, and your confidence soon grows, and it builds from there, really. 100%. And I think, did you find when you was teaching that it was almost like that enhanced your skating ability as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you learn so much from teaching, because it makes you think about, you do what you do, don't you? But I think teaching helps you understand what you do, things you didn't sometimes know you would naturally just do without thinking. But teaching makes you break that down to something that somebody else can understand. Yeah. And that's one thing I always notice about teaching, is how much I learn, because there is so much you don't realize you do without necessarily thinking about it. Yeah. But when you have to tell someone, you really have to break that down so that they understand it. That's the big difference, isn't it? But I don't know whether you find this, Matt, but I find that it just grows my knowledge as well.
Well, they say you teach once, you learn twice. That's what we used to say.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, and did you find that's carried over? Because obviously you mentor, and you're teaching for progressive property now. Is that for the commercial conversions?
Yes.
Yeah. And have you found that's carried over as well? So when you're presenting or even public speaking, are you still learning in that same sense just through, even though it's not sports, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly the same for those guys. So whether it's teaching property or figure skating, both, I learn so much. And you even learn from other people, even when you're mentoring them on their journeys and what they're doing, because they've got a unique journey themselves and, different personalities as well. So, not everyone sees the world from your perspective, and that's absolutely fine. So, something else I think you learn is just how other people see things, and then how to help them. You need to look at the world from their point of view as well, and explain it in a way that they understand. And sometimes you have to explain something in lots of different ways to get that person, or say the same thing in lots of different ways, and so that person knows what you're talking about. And that's something I find quite fascinating, is that the language and the communication. And again, you learn so much from that, because it makes you see things in different ways that you hadn't thought of before. And so it's fascinating. And yeah, I absolutely love doing the coaching and mentoring. It's really great seeing other people succeed and progress. And that's selfish in a way, because it makes you feel good.
Oh yeah, as coaches or mentors, we're all definitely. What is very rewarding as
yes,
doing that. We're people that obviously like to help others as well. So that's part of our nature. You're very empathic, so it's it's just part of us, and it's very rewarding to see someone evolve and grow into something. You almost feel like they're little, like another parent.
it's so true though.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, again, like just echoing a little bit what you've said, that I guess it's quite important for we're all, whether you're classing yourself as a mentor, we're influencing someone in some sense anyway, whether we're in that position or not. So it's just interesting what you said, like how you learn the different ways that people learn. And again, if we take it back to just coaching something that's physical, how like for me, how I would talk about that, and it makes you think. And someone might get it from me saying the move or demonstrating it one way and going another way, learning to mirror them. It really made you think, and I think it helps us become better communicators, with the people around us. Do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people learn in different ways in terms of whether it's visual, auditory, again. So there's also different manners, I suppose, in the way that you put that information across. There's a lot of visual people out there, I think, isn't there? Probably they're mostly what you see, and that just shows that I'm visual, right?
Well, that's just matter. We've got audio and visual podcast, whatever. The only thing that's missing here is me taking time out to type it all out. We'll send it away. I probably should put something in a book one day, but we'll see.
I think there's a book inside everybody, Matt. There definitely must be one for you, because you're a very inspiring person, Matt. I left you out of my inspiring people. I think you're there too. So you're an inspiring person, Matt. You do all this stuff, and you take a lot of action as well, don't you? I think there's definitely a book, Matt, hiding in you, that I think the world needs it.
I did one years ago. It was more just like case studies on people I taught in martial arts. But yeah, I keep thinking I'd like to do a mindset one, I suppose, would make sense. But one day, Wendy, one day it will come. I will come. And,
I'm sure it will. Yeah. You'll have to give me a shout when you're ready.
Yeah. So I don't know if you may have just answered this, but what would you say then is your biggest aha moment? It's like, you mentioned about maybe when you were younger with the whole people thought you were like Phoebe out of Friends, but another point which thought, oh my god, this is the way.
Okay, there's been a few moments, but I think one of my first ones was when I was at university and I was living in a student HMO. So for some of your listeners who don't know, that's House of Multiple Occupation. Yeah. And so I had like a house share, and I was a bit late with my rent one month and met my landlord, and I did pay him, but I found out he had 25 HMOs around the university campus. Right. So that started me thinking really early about what kind of numbers he was doing. So I went back to my room and did a spreadsheet, and then thought, so I'm at university and I'm planning to get a job, and these numbers look really good. So that's what spurred, I think, was a bit of a changing moment in my life, because at that point in time, it made me think about property investing. I started researching, and then I started saving my student loan right back then. So rather than spending it, I was saving, essentially getting money together. On the information that I had at the time, it's just like, right, let's build up a pot of money. So that's where it all started. And so I'd say that was a big turning point in my life, because that's kind of essentially how I moved into property later on. And I didn't do it straight away. And some people ask me, so do you think you should have done it earlier? It's a really hard question to answer, because I think we are where we are, and I'm pleased with where I've got to. So, and that's because of the actions and steps that I've taken to get me here. And you've just got to learn from what you do. So, the path they've taken has got me to where I am. So you could say, yes, hung on to more properties, gone earlier, but it is what it is, right? And you take the path you take. And, I think to have had that moment and then followed it up later on in life, was great. And so, and I did. Yeah. And that's when I started to get into property investing.
Brilliant. But the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. No, and I think everyone talks about property, and I think it was something I always wanted to do. And I just thought, I got to save up a deposit, and then I get one, and I got to save up another deposit and get one.
Yeah.
And as you know, I've learned recently that's not the case. And I mean, we met through the Rob Moore's the branding and marketing mastermind that we're on. And I think that's because you were doing the business deal makers with JJ. So I don't wish anything had been different really around, but probably had I done it the other way around, I would have rather done the property first. But this is just the way it felt. I didn't know. It's funny when you said about you explained what HMO was. I didn't know what that was 2 years ago. I didn't get it. I didn't know what rent to rent was. I think I've gone on. I had gone to Progressive, but on a social media call for one day. I don't know if you know Julie Hogbin, and she
yes.
So she just I got a HMO or something like that. I don't know, and rent to rent. I'm like, what the hell are they going on about? But this sounds so interesting. And then obviously the deal makers come up first, so it just went in that order. But it's all happened. But the deal makers really helped me, because I feel that's given me, such a learning thing, talking to business owners last year, and the whole, as through that experience. And I think it's just helped. But I think it's just interesting that I think you're right. Everything happens at the right time. So it's no point having regrets. It's just, it'd have been great if we worked this out sooner, but that information wasn't there, and probably wouldn't have been ready for it then either, because I think we need to go for a certain, depending on what everyone's doing, right?
Yeah, 100%. And, I think sometimes you get asked the question, so if you were going to do it all again, what would you do differently? Which is a great question. But at the same time, you can say, well, I don't know. I don't think I would have done, because, as you say, I was ready at certain points in my life. So that's what happened. And I'm just completely grateful for that, and loved every moment of that journey, and even the challenging points. But that's how it is. And I think you're right. Things come to you when you're ready. That's the key. So
I wouldn't have been able to handle it. Let's say 20 years ago, just no way. I wouldn't have been not mentally, just mature enough, I think, is probably better. I wouldn't have had I've needed these experiences to get me to be able to take that step forward. I would have seen that it's too risky, or it's too this, it's too that. So, I've had to, it's just, I think in time, it's just had to grow and develop. Bit like, I'm sure that's what you talk about in your book as well. It's just, everything comes at the right time, but we can all start somewhere. That's the most important bit.
100%. Yeah, we can. And that's the thing. We all have to start somewhere. We all have to start at the beginning. And that's all okay. And even when you've got loads of experience in one area, you can still start at the beginning in something else. We're always learning and evolving, aren't we? We definitely don't know it all. So even when you do become a bit of an expert in one area, that's great. You've mastered that. Amazing. But then there's so many things in life to learn and know about. So I think we're always learning and growing and finding new things to get involved in. And that's the great part about life, though, isn't it? Is that growing and evolving and learning new things.
Definitely. Never stop learning. To think I hated school and now I just love learning. Say to my kids, I learned more after school. I didn't learn at school. I think that was a confidence thing as well. Just didn't believe enough in myself. But hey, here we are now. So, what would you say has been your biggest win in the last 12 months? Because you have been very busy and you're now coaching for Progressive and you got your book. But what is the biggest win?
Biggest win? Oh, can I choose a few more than one?
Why not? You've got loads, list them out. Why not? I would.
Okay, so I think you touched on probably all of them, but I'd say getting the self-build completed and getting moved in. So that was a big win. And that happened so we moved into the studio above the garage in September and then moved into the rest of the house in December, which was a real rush. Yeah. But anyway, we got in and we're still doing bits. I'm in here today, but we're still doing bits on the landscaping and things like that. So there's still a bit more to do, but the house is done, which is great. So that was a big achievement. That was a lot of hard work over quite a bit of time. So there was that one. Then there was, coaching and mentoring for Progressive. I mean, that was great. Really enjoyed that. That started in January and I've loved every moment of that. So that's been a great opportunity that I'm very grateful for. And then the book. So then there's been the book launch this month, which has been super exciting. And again, another, I suppose, something else that's taken some time. This is probably about, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years at least, I would say, in the making to get to this point. So they've all been, I suppose, a long-standing projects that have taken a bit of time. Sorry, my phone is ringing. I'm just turning it off. They've all been long-standing projects that have taken a while to come to fruition. And so, interestingly enough, they've all come to fruition in one go in the last year. So it's really exciting and looking forward to it.
Oh, brilliant. And the commercial conversions course is on my radar for the future. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on that one. Yay.
That's amazing when you get there. So super. It'd be great to have you there. It's a great course.
Well, one thing at a time. We've got to get this first few out of the way first, but but it definitely be on there, Wendy. So, you have been busy. So, is there anything? What's after the book? What's next? What are you working on right now, or what is next? Are you going to take a break?
Should I put myself out there? So, I think the thing is, I'm always looking for ways to stretch myself in lots of different ways. So, I did a marathon a little while ago. That was a challenge. But I'm often looking for like a challenge to go do. But something that has been on my list a little while, I'm thinking might be a 2023 project, and it's a bit more of a personal one, is learning how to fly a plane or a helicopter. And I'm not sure which one. And I haven't quite decided what that's going to be yet, but that was my thoughts, is to do a private pilot's license, something along those lines, something I've always wanted to do. And, life has been super busy, but perhaps it's something I could try next year. So,
well, you know what? Why don't you go for the helicopter, right? So then when you're doing, that's sorry for helicopter, by the way. So when you're public speaking, it's like, imagine that you're. I know it sounds a bit Donald Trumpy, but hey, do it anyway. You could just be landing and coming out, and then it's progressive. Right, commercial conversion time. Here I am in my private. I've got someone ringing me now. In my private helicopter.
No need to drive it. It'd be so much quicker, wouldn't it? That's the thing. But one thing I've always wanted to do is be able to say, get a light aircraft from a local airport, and then like fly my family or something to, say, I don't know, France or something like that. Have a meal and fly back, just on a little day or a couple of day trip. And I don't know why that's something I want to do, but it's just something I think I've spoken to. I think I spoke to someone who was a pilot, and they'd done something similar, and I thought that's just such a lovely idea that just appealed to me, and I thought perhaps that's something I can do. We'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. Why not? Hey? Why not?
Yeah, no, definitely do it.
There's no reason why you can't do this stuff. Is there?
What a great thing for your vision board. But what a great goal. There you go.
It's on there. I don't think you can see it, but it's actually behind me here. I've got kind of places to go on the vision board, but also somewhere there is a helicopter and a plane, and I can't see it. I'm blind at the moment, but yeah, it is on there. It's on my vision board.
Brilliant.
So, and my book is on there. So I have it blank. It's just a book, but it's right down the bottom. So yeah, that was on there as well.
Brilliant. I love it. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing when you're flying now.
You're asking me now, aren't you? Like, oh, Wendy, did you listen?
Yeah. Brilliant. And then your self-build, you can have then you could have your helicopter pad out. Just suggesting stuff.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, no, this is all good. And there is actually a helicopter pad around the corner, but that one is for emergency services, so that's not for me really. But and those guys do
emergency to get your family to France for something to eat, but anyway.
Well, could be if they're super hungry,
There you go. Wendy, we've pretty much come into the end. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, and I would love to have you back on, because I'm sure in a year's time there'll be loads more to talk about. You are so inspiring, so you should have put yourself out as an inspiring person, because and thank you again for the help and support that you've given over the last year. I really, really appreciate it, and it is what a wonderful journey, and it lifts me up. It makes me want to do more. It makes me want to aspire to do more as well. So I really appreciate it. And so book is out Thursday, Successful State of Mind. And looks like it's going to be a great read. I'm going to get on to the book launch. What time's the book launch?
It's 5:30 on Thursday. Yeah, I'll share the details actually, because anyone who'd like to come, I'd love them to be there. So I'm very much like, excuse the pun, I'm very much an open book. It's great having people around, and anyone's welcome. So I'll share the link, and anyone who wants to join is very, very welcome. And I just want to say a huge thank you to you, Matt, as well, for having me on your podcast. It is always a pleasure, and it's fantastic having you in my network as well. You're such a great person and an inspiring person yourself. So big thank you to you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll catch you soon. I'll speak to you just after. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget, a nice 5-star review, because we love them. Share, tag some friends in if you feel this would benefit them. And if you've got any questions, just drop it in the comments, and one of us get back. Peace, love, always. Bye.